The day the Zarkorians came to Earth started like any other. Blue skies stretched over New Geneva, home of the United Earth Council. Ambassador Elena Chen sipped her morning coffee while her 17-year-old daughter Sophia packed her travel bag. "Mom, do you think they'll like my project?" Sophia asked, carefully placing her cultural exchange gift in her backpack. She had spent months creating a holographic art piece that showed Earth's history. Elena smiled at her daughter. "They'll love it just like I do." The Chen family had been chosen as part of the first official human delegation to visit the Zarkorian homeworld. The aliens had made contact 6 months ago, appearing in massive ships that darkened the skies over major cities. But they came in peace, offering knowledge and trade. Captain Miguel Ramirez waited for them at the spaceport. His job was to ensure the safety of all 12 human delegates. "Ambassador Chen, Sophia." He nodded respectfully. "The Zarkorian transport arrives in 1 hour." The alien ship looked like a giant silver leaf, smooth and impossibly thin. It landed without a sound. The main door slid open, revealing 3 tall figures. The Zarkorians stood nearly 8 feet tall with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were large and completely black. High Commander Zulvak stepped forward. "We welcome Earth's representatives," he said through a translator device. "Your journey to our world honors us." Sophia couldn't help but stare. She had seen pictures, but meeting aliens in person was different. When Zulvak turned his gaze to her, she felt both scared and excited. "The young one has a curious mind," Zulvak said. "This is good, the future belongs to the curious." The journey to the Zarkorian homeworld took 3 days in their faster-than-light ship. Sophia spent hours looking out the viewing port at the stars streaking by. Elena worked with the other delegates, preparing for the diplomatic meetings ahead. What humans didn't know was that not all Zarkorians welcomed this new relationship. A group called the Purity Coalition believed contact with other species would weaken their civilization. They had agents everywhere, even on this diplomatic vessel. The Zarkorian homeworld of Chorus Prime was beautiful, with purple skies and floating cities. The human delegation gasped as they arrived at the capital city of Zolthoria. Crystal towers stretched upward, connected by bridges of light. "We have prepared a welcoming ceremony," explained Zulvak. "Then we will begin our cultural exchange." Security seemed tight. Zarkorian guards flanked the humans as they walked to the Grand Hall. Elena noticed tension in some of the aliens they passed. Not everyone was happy to see humans here. The Grand Hall was filled with important Zarkorians. The human delegation took their places on a platform. Sophia stood proudly next to her mother, her cultural gift ready to be presented. High Elder Krintor, the Zarkorian leader, approached the platform. "Today marks a historic moment. 2 intelligent species join in friendship and—" The explosion cut off his words. The back wall of the Grand Hall burst inward. Armed Zarkorians rushed in, firing energy weapons. They wore the symbol of the Purity Coalition on their armor. "Death to the human infection," their leader shouted. Captain Ramirez pulled out his ceremonial pistol, the only weapon the humans had been allowed. "Get down," he yelled to the delegation. Chaos erupted. Loyal Zarkorian guards fought against the attackers. The human delegates scrambled for cover. Elena grabbed Sophia's hand and pulled her toward a side exit. A stray energy blast hit the ceiling above them. Chunks of crystal fell down. Elena pushed Sophia out of the way, but wasn't fast enough to save herself. A crystal shard struck her leg and she collapsed. "Mom!" Sophia screamed, rushing back to help her mother. The leader of the attackers saw them. He aimed his weapon directly at them. "The human child," he hissed, a symbol of their corruption. Captain Ramirez fired his pistol, hitting the attacker's shoulder. But there were too many enemies. 3 more Purity fighters surrounded Sophia and her injured mother. "Please," Elena begged. "She's just a child." The Purity leader's black eyes showed no mercy. "She is the future you hoped for, a future that will not exist." Sophia stood tall, facing her killers without fear. "We came in peace," she said simply. The energy blast struck her chest. "Sophia Chen, the first human child to visit an alien world, fell without another word. Hours later, Ambassador Elena Chen woke in a Zarkorian medical facility. Her leg was bandaged, but the pain in her heart was unbearable. High Commander Zulvak stood by her bed, his head bowed in shame. "We have failed you," he said quietly. "The Purity Coalition has been stopped, but too late." "My daughter," Elena whispered. "I regret to inform you that Sophia Chen did not survive the attack." On Earth, the news spread quickly. Sophia's death was broadcast on every screen. Grief turned to anger. In military bases around the world, commanders received new orders. Ships hidden in underwater hangars and lunar bases prepared for launch. The message sent to the Zarkorian leadership was simple. "You killed a human girl." Earth's response? "Our fleet is on its way." The cold light of dawn broke over a silent Washington. DC digital billboards that normally advertised the latest products instead displayed a single image. Sophia Chen's school portrait, her gentle smile now a symbol that united humanity in grief. 3 days had passed since the news reached Earth. In the White House Situation Room, General Sarah Donovan stood before the assembled Joint Chiefs of Staff. Her uniform was crisp, her expression stone. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, "the President will address the nation in 1 hour. Before that happens, we need to be clear about our capabilities." On screens around the room, images appeared of sleek spacecraft hidden in underwater hangars, lunar bases, and desert facilities. For 20 years, Earth had been building in secret. "After the climate wars, we discovered the alien metals in Antarctica," General Donovan continued. "We kept it quiet. We built. We prepared. The Zarkorians thought they were meeting a relatively primitive species. They were wrong. Across the globe, military personnel mobilized quietly. In Brazil, Commander Maria Santos opened a hidden mountain facility revealing rows of fighter craft. In Russia, Admiral Petrov inspected troops boarding massive transport ships. In Kenya, Dr. Abbasi activated the planet's most powerful AI defense system. Meanwhile, in a medical facility orbiting Earth, Ambassador Elena Chen woke screaming her daughter's name. The doctors had brought her home, but they couldn't heal her broken heart. When the nurse came running, Elena grabbed her hand. "I need to speak to the people," she said, her voice hoarse. "They need to hear from me before decisions are made." 2 hours later, supported by medical drones, Ambassador Chen addressed the United Nations emergency session. Her face, broadcasted on screens worldwide, showed the raw pain of a mother's loss. "My daughter believed in peace," she said, her voice steady despite her tears. "She carried art to the stars as her gift. In return, they gave her death." She paused, her hands gripping the podium. But Sophia would not want blind revenge. She would want justice. She would want the right people held accountable. Her eyes hardened. And she would want Earth to show its strength. In orbit above Mars, Admiral Marcus Hayes received his orders. He had been Sophia's godfather, had taught her to sail on Lake Michigan when she was small. Now he commanded Earth's first response fleet. "Admiral, you are authorized to deploy," came the President's voice over the secure channel. "Show them who we really are." The ships emerged from their hiding places, from underwater bases in Earth's oceans, from the dark side of the moon, from caverns on Mars. They were black as space itself, sleek and deadly. Technology the Zarkorians had never imagined possible, from primitive humans. In her hospital bed, Elena watched the news broadcasts. The Zarkorian ambassador was surrounded by reporters as he left the UN building. "We deeply regret this tragedy," the alien was saying, his forearms moving in what humans now recognized as a gesture of distress. "The Purity Coalition is a small, extremist group. They do not represent our people." "Will those responsible be brought to justice?" a reporter demanded. "We have begun an internal investigation," the ambassador replied. Elena turned off the screen. She knew what internal investigation meant in diplomatic language. Nothing would happen. Her secure phone buzzed. It was General Donovan. "They're saying what we expected," Elena said before the general could speak. "Yes, and we're responding as planned." Donovan's voice was firm. "The fleet launches in 6 hours. Hayes is in command. Marcus will do what's right," Elena said, thinking of the man who had once promised to protect her daughter. Across Earth, people gathered in homes and public spaces, watching as their hidden strength was finally revealed. In New Geneva, Sophia's classmates held a candlelight vigil. Her best friend Jin placed Sophia's favorite book, a worn copy of The Little Prince, among the flowers. High above, the first ships broke Earth's atmosphere. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of the EDF Retribution, watching as his fleet assembled. 50 ships, then 100, then more, appearing from hidden bases throughout the solar system. Lieutenant Commander Aisha Okafor approached him. "Sir, all ships report ready. The Zarkorians have detected our launch. They're requesting communication." Lieutenant Commander Aisha Okafor approached him. "Sir, all ships report ready. The Zarkorians have detected our launch. They're requesting communication." Hayes nodded. "Put them through." The face of High Commander Zulvak appeared on screen. The alien's eyes widened at the sight of Earth's armada. "Admiral Hayes," the alien said, "what is the meaning of this mobilization?" Hayes looked at the photo on his control panel, himself with Sophia on her 16th birthday, both laughing, before answering. "You killed a human girl," he said simply. Earth's response? "Our fleet is on its way." The vast darkness of space stretched before the bridge of the EDF Retribution. Admiral Marcus Hayes stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching as the last ships took formation. Earth was now just a blue dot behind them, growing smaller by the minute. "All ships report ready for jump, Admiral," said Lieutenant James Wilson, his voice tight with tension. At 28, this was his first deep space mission. Hayes nodded. "Signal the fleet. We jump in 5 minutes." The human fleet consisted of 127 vessels, everything Earth had built in secret over 2 decades. The flagship Retribution led them, flanked by 4 destroyer-class warships: Vengeance, Justice, Reckoning, and Resolve. In the engine room, technical, Sergeant Layla Patel ran final checks on the FTL drive. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, her hands moving with practiced precision over the controls. "Drive stable, sir," she reported into her comm. "Ready when you are." Layla had volunteered for this mission the moment she heard about Sophia Chen. Something about the girl's story resonated with her. Layla had been 17 once too, full of hope for the future. The thought of that hope being snuffed out by alien extremists made her blood boil. On the bridge, Admiral Hayes opened a channel to the entire fleet. "Men and women of Earth," he began, his deep voice carrying to every ship. "Today we begin a journey that will change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. The Zarkorians and other alien nations believed us weak. They thought we were primitive, defenseless. They were wrong." He paused, looking at the photo on his console, himself with Sophia Chen on her 16th birthday. "We go not only for justice, for one child, but to ensure no human will ever be considered an easy target again. Prepare for jump." Throughout the fleet, FTL drives hummed to life. The technology had been Earth's most closely guarded secret, reverse-engineered from a crashed alien scout ship found in the Antarctic after the climate wars. The stars stretched into lines of light, and then the fleet vanished from Earth's solar system. 2 days into their journey, trouble found them. Lieutenant Wilson spotted it first on the long-range scanners. "Sir, we have multiple contacts at coordinates 227 Mark IV. They're moving to intercept." Admiral Hayes frowned. They were passing through neutral space claimed by the Krell Dominion, known associates of the Zarkorians. "Tactical analysis?" he asked. 5 warships, Krell design, they're powering weapons. Hayes nodded calmly. "So it begins. Alert the fleet. Battle formations." The human ships moved with practiced precision, forming a defensive pattern. The Krell ships approached rapidly, firing warning shots across the Retribution's bow. "They're hailing us, sir," Wilson reported. The main screen flickered to life, showing a reptilian face with yellow eyes and ridged scales. "Human vessels," the Krell commander hissed. "You are violating Dominion space. By treaty with the Zarkorian Collective, we demand you turn back immediately." Hayes stood, facing the screen squarely. "We claim right of passage under galactic common law. We seek justice for crimes against our people. Your primitive species has no standing to invoke such rights," the Krell sneered. "Turn back, or we will fire." Primitive, Hayes allowed himself a small smile. "Perhaps it's time for a demonstration. Lieutenant Wilson, target their lead vessel's engines. Minimal damage only." Before the Krell commander could respond, a precision beam from the Retribution struck their flagship. The Krell ship spun, its engines sputtering. "What? How?" The commander's yellow eyes widened. "That was a warning," Hayes said. "Our next shot won't be. We have no quarrel with the Krell Dominion, but we will pass through this space." In the silence that followed, Technical Sergeant Patel held her breath. She was manning a secondary weapons station, finger hovering over the firing control. Finally, the Krell commander nodded stiffly. "Proceed. But know that word of your passage will reach the Zarkorians." "I'm counting on it," Hayes replied. As the Krell ships moved aside, the human fleet continued its journey. Word spread quickly through subspace communications. Other alien nations scrambled to reassess their understanding of human capabilities. In her quarters that night, Layla Patel couldn't sleep. She pulled out a small hologram projector and activated it. Sophia Chen's face appeared, smiling from her school portrait. "We won't let them forget you," Layla whispered to the image, "and we'll make sure no one underestimates humans again." On the bridge, Admiral Hayes studied star charts showing the route to Zarkorian space. Lieutenant Wilson approached with a data pad. "Sir, we've received a message from Earth. Ambassador Chen is asking for direct communication." Hayes nodded. "Put her through to my quarters." Minutes later, he faced the tired face of his old friend. Elena Chen looked pale, but her eyes burned with purpose. "Marcus," she said, "I've heard about the Krell encounter. Are you all right?" "We're fine, Elena." They backed down quickly. She nodded. "Good. But I need to know your intentions when you reach Zarkor." Hayes was silent for a moment. "Justice requires action, Elena." "Justice, yes. Not vengeance," she replied firmly. Sophia wouldn't want her name used to start a war. As the fleet continued its journey toward Zarkorian space, Hayes pondered her words. The line between justice and vengeance was thin, and they were still 7 days from finding out which side of it they would land on. The planet Zarkor hung like a blue-green jewel against the blackness of space. Its 3 moons orbited in a perfect dance, their surfaces dotted with the lights of colonies and defense stations. Admiral Hayes stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching as the Zarkorian home system grew larger on the view screen. "Signal the fleet to drop out of FTL," he ordered. "Standard formation." One by one, the human ships appeared in normal space at the edge of the Zarkorian system. By design, they emerged just beyond the range of the orbital defense platforms. The human fleet spread out in a crescent formation, visible, imposing, but not yet threatening. The reaction was immediate. Alarm signals flashed across the Zarkorian communication channels. Their defense fleet, previously scattered throughout the system, began to converge. "Sir, we're being hailed by Zarkorian High Command," Lieutenant Wilson reported. "On screen," Hayes replied calmly. The face of High Commander Zulvak appeared. His forearms were held in a position that humans now recognized as extreme tension. "Admiral Hayes, your presence in our system constitutes an act of war," the alien said. "Withdraw immediately." Hayes stood, hands clasped behind his back. "High Commander, we come seeking justice for Sophia Chen. Your government promised an investigation. We are here for the results. The investigation is ongoing," Zulvak replied stiffly. "These matters take time. Time is something you no longer have," Hayes said. "We demand the immediate surrender of those responsible for the attack, including anyone who helped plan it or cover it up." Zulvak's face darkened with the blue flush of his species' anger. "You make demands with one small fleet? The Zarkorian defense forces outnumber you 3-1. Hayes allowed himself a small smile. Numbers aren't everything, High Commander. You've already seen some of what we can do. Would you like another demonstration? In the weapons control room, Technical Sergeant Layla Patel received the coded order. Her fingers flew over the controls, activating the Retribution's most advanced system. A pulse of invisible energy swept outward from the human flagship. On the bridge, Hayes watched as confusion spread across Zulvok's face. Behind the alien leader, officers rushed back and forth, clearly alarmed. "What have you done?" Zulvok demanded. "We've temporarily disabled your targeting systems," Hayes explained. "A small demonstration of capability. We can target your weapons next or your engines. The choice is yours." The human fleet began to advance slowly into the system. Zarkorian ships moved to intercept but kept their distance. "You have 24 hours to deliver those responsible," Hayes continued. "After that, we will take more direct action." The communication ended. Hayes turned to his crew. "Now we wait," he said. "And listen." In the communications center, Lieutenant James Wilson monitored the sudden surge in Zarkorian transmissions. The translator AI worked frantically to keep up. "Sir," Wilson called out after several hours, "I think you should hear this." He played an intercepted communication between Zulvok and another Zarkorian, whose insignia marked him as Minister of Internal Security. "The humans cannot know the full extent," the security minister was saying. "If they discovered the Purity Coalition's connections to the Central Council, then we must ensure they don't," Zulvok replied. "Find some low-ranking members to sacrifice. Tell them whatever story is necessary." Wilson stopped the recording. "Sir, they're planning to offer up scapegoats." Hayes nodded grimly. "As expected. Keep monitoring. I want everything they say." On the planet below, panic spread through the Zarkorian government. In a secure bunker, the Central Council debated their options. "We should attack now," urged General Kreltor. "Our numbers are superior. Their technology is more advanced than we thought," countered Science Minister Virazan. "We don't know what else they can do." "The truth remains our greatest vulnerability," said an elder council member. "If the humans learn who truly ordered the attack." Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, Ambassador Elena Chen watched the situation unfold through secure updates. Despite her doctor's protests, she had not rested. When the latest report came through, she made a decision. "Prepare my shuttle," she told her aide. "I'm going to join the fleet." Back at the edge of the Zarkorian system, Admiral Hayes received another transmission, this one from an unexpected source. A Zarkorian female appeared on screen, her clothing marking her as a member of their scientific caste. "Admiral Hayes," she said, her voice low and hurried. "I am Televen, assistant to Science Minister Virazan. There are those among us who seek justice as you do. The attack was not merely the work of extremists. It was sanctioned by members of our highest council." She transmitted a file before the connection abruptly cut off. "Can we verify this?" Hayes asked. Lieutenant Wilson nodded slowly, studying the data. "It appears authentic. It contains internal communications, security footage from the attack, everything we need to identify who was really responsible." Hayes stared at the image of Zarkor on the view screen. In 12 hours, their ultimatum would expire. "Prepare a broadcast," he ordered, "to the entire planet." Dawn broke over the capital city of Zarkor. The 3 moons still hung visible in the morning sky. But all eyes were turned upward to the human fleet positioned in high orbit. The 24-hour ultimatum would expire in exactly 1 hour. In the Central Council chamber, shouting filled the air. High Commander Zulvok faced the angry council members. "You promised the humans would back down," Elder Krintor yelled, his forearms gesturing wildly. "Now they threaten to broadcast evidence to our entire population." "The evidence is false," Minister of Security Dravmore insisted. "Manufactured by human intelligence." A junior aide burst into the chamber. "Counselors, the humans have launched shuttles toward the surface." On board the Retribution, Admiral Hayes watched as the special operations teams departed. Each shuttle carried a small group of highly trained soldiers led by Commander Alexis Rivera, Earth's most decorated Special Forces officer. "Remember," Hayes told Rivera over the comm, "this is not an invasion. Your only objective is to secure the broadcasting center and protect our people on the ground. Understood, Admiral, Rivera replied. Quick and clean. In the shuttle bay, Technical Sergeant Layla Patel checked her equipment one last time. She had volunteered for the ground team, arguing that her technical skills would be needed to bypass Zarkorian security systems. But in her heart she knew she wanted to look into the eyes of those who had killed Sophia Chen. As the shuttles descended through the atmosphere, a new ship appeared at the edge of the system. Smaller than the warships, it bore diplomatic markings. Sir, Lieutenant Wilson called out. It's Ambassador Chen. Hayes felt his heart sink. What is she doing here? Patch her through immediately. Elena Chen's face appeared on screen. Her eyes showed exhaustion, but also determination. Marcus, before you do anything irreversible, I need to be part of this, she said firmly. Elena, we have evidence. The Central Council authorized the attack that killed Sophia. Then let me face them, she replied. Let me be the one to demand justice for my daughter. On the planet's surface, Commander Rivera's team secured the main broadcasting center with surprising ease. The Zarkorian guards offered little resistance when faced with Earth's advanced weapons. Something's wrong, Rivera said over the comm. This was too easy. Her suspicions were confirmed when thousands of Zarkorian civilians began to gather outside the broadcasting center. But they weren't attacking. They were waiting, watching the building with what looked like hope. Inside, Layla Patel worked quickly to connect their equipment to the Zarkorian broadcasting system. Ready to transmit, Commander. The doors to the broadcasting center opened. Ambassador Elena Chen walked in, escorted by Admiral Hayes. The Zarkorian crowd outside parted silently to let them pass. Are we ready? Elena asked, her voice steady. Hayes nodded. The whole planet will see. Elena sat before the camera. The red light blinked on, and her face was transmitted to every screen on Zarkor. People of Zarkor, she began. I am Ambassador Helena Chen of Earth. My daughter Sophia was killed in your Grand Hall. Your leaders told you it was the work of extremists alone. She paused, then continued. They lied. We have evidence that members of your Central Council approved the attack. The broadcast switched to the files provided by Televen, security footage, official orders, communications between council members plotting the attack to sabotage relations with humans. Across the planet, Zarkorians watched in stunned silence. Then came the anger. Crowds formed in city centers. The Central Council building was surrounded by protesters. In the broadcasting center, a group of Zarkorian civilians led by Televen approached Ambassador Chen. We did not know, Televen said, her voice filled with shame. Many of us wanted peace with humans. Outside, news spread that the Central Council members implicated in the evidence were attempting to flee the planet. Zarkorian security forces, acting on their own, moved to arrest them. 3 days later, in the Grand Hall where it had all begun, a different ceremony took place. The new Interim Council of Zarkor formally surrendered those responsible for Sophia's death to Earth's custody. Ambassador Chen stood face to face with the former council members. You took my daughter from me, she said quietly. You thought humans were weak. You were wrong. High Elder Krintor, now in restraints, could not meet her eyes. What will you do with us? You will face justice, she replied. Not revenge, but justice. The difference matters. 1 month later, a memorial garden bloomed where Sophia Chen had fallen. Trees from Earth grew beside Zarkorian plants, their branches intertwining. Ambassador Chen planted the first tree herself. Admiral Hayes stood beside her, watching as humans and Zarkorians worked together to build something beautiful from tragedy. Sophia would have liked this, Elena said softly. Yes, Hayes agreed. She always saw the best possibilities. Above them, Earth's fleet began its journey home, leaving behind a small diplomatic force. Throughout the galaxy, news spread of humanity's strength and restraint. Other alien nations that had dismissed humans now sent envoys seeking alliance. In the memorial garden, a small plaque bore Sophia's image and a simple message in both human and Zarkorian language. From understanding comes peace. From peace comes a future for all.